Yeah, doggies, what's going on, people? Hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to more esports talk. We're back from vacation, back with some heat. Hope you guys all enjoy a little midnight special before we roll into tomorrow's videos, which I cannot wait. Thank you all for watching, for subbing, for commenting. You guys have been amazing as of my 3-day vacation. That is now over. I cannot wait to be back. And what a better way to start off with some heavy-hitting controversy out there involving one of the world's, if not by many eyes out there, the biggest podcaster in the entire world, that being Joe Rogan, giving his 2 cents on video games. Before we hop into this one, let me preface with some context as well as with some historical features of Joe Rogan, who, by the way, one of the first ever JRE podcast episodes I listened to was with Jordan Nothing Gilbert from the Counter-Strike scene, obviously with Joe Rogan, a guy who himself comes from the Quake scene, has openly admitted himself being addicted to video games, just so everyone is not all riled up by this, because I will say the clip I'm about to play for all of you guys is incredibly poorly worded about calling video games a mistake and a waste of time for most people out there, and seemingly his comparison being because of what it seems to be, at least way he worded it here, was because of the lack of monetary return or returns in other facets of life that you can get from maybe jiu-jitsu or other sports that you simply cannot get from video games.
And video games are a real problem. They're a real problem. You know why? Because they're fun.
Addictive.
And you don't, I have a real problem with them. And you do them and they're real exciting, but you don't get anywhere.
Right.
It's like you could do like martial arts, right? You could learn jiu-jitsu. You get obsessed by jiu-jitsu, and then 3 years later, you're like an elite jiu-jitsu athlete. You're entering in competitions. You're a purple belt.
You're moving up.
Yeah, you're doing well. Right. You're thinking like, I might be able to open my own school one day.
You got confidence.
Yeah, if I have 100 students and those 100 students are paying me X amount of dollars per month, I can make a living. Holy shit, I can have this would be amazing. And then you see your jiu-jitsu school, and your jiu-jitsu instructor has all these students and drives a Mercedes, and he's got a nice family, and like, that's the future. This way you're doing something exciting and fun, and you don't, or you could just be playing video games. 3 years later, you could be that same kid just playing video games, waiting for the next whatever the game is, next Xbox game to come out, and you're gonna waste your time.
And guys, the last time I talked about Joe Rogan from his podcast clips was him trying to compare and talk about esports being actual sports. The guy loves video games. I have no ill will towards him at all whatsoever, even following this clip, especially if you break it down, because he does make some very fair points for some people out there who are heavily addicted to video games, where it brings very little to no return for their lifestyle. Unfortunately for Joe, with the way he worded things, it's going to be taken differently by a lot of eyes out there, and I would still say rightfully so. My first reaction to all of this would be the fact that it doesn't have to be a monetary return in order for something to actually, that consumes your time, to be rewarding. Right? All of us out there, myself included, yes, I am heavily biased though, because I am lucky enough to actually have a job based off somewhat video games and esports and gaming, and the fact I started playing video games certainly led me to this point. So I am one of the lucky few who actually has a job based off video games. But plenty of other people out there, if not have a job, can actually make money off this, and if not even that at all, have made countless friendships, have learned languages, typing skills, a wide variety of skills that never get credit, because video games have that typical connotation of, being unathletic, staying inside all day, being very, very unsocial, whatever it might be. A very negative connotation has been painted for video games, and probably will be still for a time in the future unless we change that painting. Unfortunately for Joe, the way he words things is just incredibly poor for a guy who loves video games. I just want to get that point across to all of you guys who somehow hate him for this. I don't think he worded it well at all, but there is some truth to what he said for some people out there. But the flip side of the coin is the only benefit from gaming, or the reason why people do game, is not just for a monetary return. Even if that is the case though, there are so many now, countless pro players, content creators, and streamers making a lot of money just from playing video games. And even besides that, all of the industry jobs, and like I said before, all the social interactions and the things that come of it that are not even monetary based. It's changed my life. So for him to say it's a waste of time for most people out there, I'm sure even him now will understand. He now will understand that was incredibly misworded. It's an unfortunate circumstance because given he is the #1 podcast in the entire world, no matter what you say at any point in time, it'll be drawn out and taken out. And in this kind of clip itself, it does not sound good at all. despite his history of video games, his love of video games, this clip does not make him sound good. Either way, I've seen so many great responses out there. I mean, just about any gaming figure you probably know, creator, personality, or pro has now responded or talked about this over the past 24 hours. And I would say we've seen some great responses. And again, I think even Joe would admit it was just a poorly worded circumstance. I'm not going to witch hunt the guy. Very lastly, for all of you, here's Ninja's response as well on the matter of video games being a waste of time.
Saw the most recent clip going on about Joe Rogan, his comment about video games or like gamers. And I think where he was coming from, or what he was talking about specifically, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but what I watched the whole thing and try to get context of it. I watched, before and after the clip that was just, being posted on or on Twitter. It sounds like he's talking about like the top 1%, like the very odd or one-off chance that you're going to be a professional player, an esports player, and a successful one at that, right? I mean, you can be a professional esports player and, beyond like a tier 2, tier 3 org, which is not maybe paying you the most. And obviously if you're not winning and being paid a lot, you're not a big streamer, then you're not really making a lot of money. So I'm assuming he's just basically talking about, the top 1%, you're winning every tournament, you're on a top organization, you're making a shitload of money, you're successful. And I mean, he talks about how, gaming can potentially not really get you anywhere, right? You're putting a lot of time into it and you're just mindlessly playing video games. I just don't think what Joe doesn't really understand then the full context of what the gaming community is and how many different avenues you can be successful in gaming. I mean, there's streaming, just content creation, YouTube, being a professional player, being a freaking coach. I mean, like, you can be incredibly understanding of a game but not have the physical capacity to be able to, get pentakills every single round and, every single game. But that doesn't mean that, there's not a job for you, right? That doesn't mean there's not a place for you in the gaming community where you can be successful, especially when, coaches are being valued more and more in the gaming community now, which is a beautiful thing to see because coaches have been in sports forever. So, I mean, I'd love to go on and talk about it more, but I think that if you guys are in the gaming scene, we all know there are so many different ways you can be successful. There's so many different ways that you can make a living out of it. So keep gaming, continue to educate yourselves, and love you guys. And also would love to be on the Joe Rogan podcast. Talk more about it.
So I'll end it there, guys. I want to keep it short and brief. I apologize for even stretching it out. It's just a very heavy-hitting topic. I wanted to get across that I am so lucky to have found so many people through video games. Even if I didn't have a job in video games, I would still be playing them because they're so much for me beyond just, some sort of very, very small financial gain to keep me alive, right? Even now, especially now during these pandemic times, how do I keep in touch with my buddies back home? I play video games with them. I hop on a game, we hop in voice comms, and I play with them. Besides all of that, I have met dozens, if not hundreds of people through Discord and video games and Counter-Strike and this channel as well, and these interactions that I've made that will last likely a lifetime, all because of a video game. So for me, I must disagree with Joe because video games are the exact opposite of a waste of time for me, and I'm sure many of you guys watching, they've been everything for me. That's not to say there are not the downsides of playing too many video games, but that's a very minute percentage compared to the vast majority of us who enjoy them for so many more reasons. Until next time, what do you guys think about this? A midnight episode does not happen too often, so if you guys want to do me a favor, leave a comment down below. I can't usually stay up this late, but until next time, take care of yourselves. Drink your water, drink your coffee. I'll be back here all week long. All right? Take care. Okay, bye.